the Jones fight wasn't shocking. He won. I had Dominick Reyes winning that fight. Okay. I even tweeted out, I think it was the final round. Jones has to get a finish this round to win this fight. Okay. And still it went to a decision. I had Jones winning. Pardon me. I had Reyes winning 3 rounds to 2. I feel, and we'll do this now, and then we'll backtrack. We'll go
1, 2, and 3 for Reyes.
Yeah, rounds 1, 2, 3 for Dominick Reyes. I felt he won those rounds big. Certainly won rounds 1 and 2 big. In rounds 3, he was starting to slow down a little bit, and he did the same in rounds 1, 2, 3. I will say this: what you've got to realize is that was Dominick Reyes' 13th fight. Okay. Reyes 13 fights. He'd only had 13 fights. If I'm not mistaken, Jon Jones, I was counting up before on Wikipedia, has had 15 world title fights in the UFC. And that was the first time that Dominick Reyes had to go 5 rounds. He'd had 1 fight scheduled for 5 rounds, but it never went there against Chris Weidman. He knocked him out in the first round. So he's got no experience of fighting 5 rounds, going to championship rounds, and how to monitor his gas tank. Right, he went out there in the first round, put it on Jones spectacularly, had him backed up, connecting with good shots, had Jones actually running away at one point. He paid him no respect. All right, and everybody talks about that. Oh, I'm not scared of this guy. I'm going to walk right through him. It's all easy to say that when you're at the press conference. It's easy to say that when a reporter has a microphone in front of you. It's easy to fucking act hard and cocky and all this. But when the cage door shuts and the referee says fight, you don't always back it up. Reyes fucking did. He walked right through him, walked him down, backed him up against the fence, had John on his bike, but then he ran out of steam. Around the 3-minute mark of every round, he started running out of steam, and that allowed Jones back into it a little bit. And then Reyes would take a few breaths, and he would give Jones a good punch, a good crack, whatever it was, something to keep Jones honest, to stop him advancing too much, to stop that mental momentum that Jones was gaining every round. And then he gets a minute rest. Round 2, he goes out, he does the same thing. This time, instead of running out of pace, running out of steam at 3 minutes 30, he ran out of steam at 3 minutes. And then the same thing, then Jones kind of came back. Then he rests again, round 3. This time, Jones came back at 2.5 minutes.
But even when Jones was
monitor his gas tank.
I apologize. But even when Jones was coming back, I don't feel like Jones was taking over in those rounds. He was really just walking him down. He was taking the center of the octagon, and he was sort of controlling the distance. But Dominick Reyes was still landing more in those rounds, unquestionably. I mean, the fight metric says it. It was just so obvious. After 3 rounds, everybody in my apartment, all 10 people, whether they were huge MMA fans from like somebody like Harrington or people that had no idea about MMA at all, like a couple of chicks that were just hanging out, everyone was going like, wow, Jon Jones is losing this fight. Simple as that. Losing this fight. And he was.
And he was. And he did. He did. He lost that fight. And listen, a lot of people want to shit on Jones. They want to talk shit, but you know the mental stress it takes to go into 15 world title fights, one after the other, against the number 1 contender, against champions, the former champions, one after the other. It is not an easy thing to do, and he continues to pass the test. Now, I'm standing here and saying, fucking Reyes won that fight, but it was a close fight because the last 2 rounds, they were Jones. Right. So at the very best, it was 3-2. And a lot of people, I'm looking on social media this morning, all over Twitter, a lot of people are saying they've watched the fight back without commentary and they give it to Jones. I haven't done that. I haven't watched it back again. I made my opinion on the night. If I watched it again, maybe I would change it. But my impression on the night, exact same as you. He won the first 3 rounds, but still, round 4 and 5, Jones walked him down, closed down the octagon. And I'll tell you what, Jones never really got hit that many times super flush. You got to give Jones his credit for his defense, right? His defense is fantastic. Always had a hand there. Whenever he connected, it was kind of partially blocked or something. The strikes never got through that clean. Of course, there was a few that did, but for the most part, a lot of them were semi-blocked. So Jones is very, very good defense. He walked it down in 4 and 5, and he turned it around. I thought Reyes won, but it wasn't a robbery. It wasn't a robbery. That term gets used far too much. That was not a robbery. That was a close fight that I feel the judges got wrong, but it wasn't a robbery.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that. I'll do that tonight. I'll go back and I'll watch it without commentary and really just focus on trying to look at it through those eyes. Yeah, I mean, I guess, with Jones, maybe there is a little bit of I don't know, maybe there's a lack of motivation. Is it that Dominick Reyes was that good, or Jon Jones underestimated him? Is it maybe like,
No.
because we saw something happen remember when GSP at the end of his reign at 170, it was a similar thing with Johnny Hendricks. Like Johnny Hendricks came in and really took it to him. You know what I'm saying? And gave him that crazy fight. And I remember people were like, oh shit, is GSP slipping, or is Johnny Hendricks that good? And then Johnny Hendricks sort of fell off. He wasn't as good as people thought he was after GSP retired. But it sort of it kind of reminds me of that dynamic right now where, George had cleaned out everybody. There was really not much else for him to prove at 170. And then there was a couple close fights where he didn't absolutely dominate and people were like, well, what's going on here? So do you think there's any lack of motivation on Jon's end, or how do you assess that? Was that a great performance by Dominic, poor performance by Jon, a little bit of both, great performance by Jon?
No, it was a fantastic performance by Reyes. Reyes went out there, did exactly what he needed to do. I mean, come on, look at them two when they squared up. Reyes is a big dude. Of course, Jones has fought big guys before, but he's a big, strong, bigger, athletic guy. Yeah, he looked bigger. And I tell you what, fuck me, the takedown defense of Dominick Reyes, it was incredible. Because there was certain, in rounds 4 and 5, there was a couple of times Jones got him down. But Reyes just bounces back up and just has this ability, uncanny ability to just scramble, break the grip and get back to his feet, get an underhook, get back to his feet, turn off the fence. It was unbelievable. It really was. It was just so incredible to watch for somebody that doesn't really have a wrestling background. You're just so strong, so athletic. He used to be a college footballer, if I'm not mistaken. So he has that athletic background, but the strength and just scrambling ability was just incredible. I think Dominick Reyes, because Dana is talking, Dana said he was open to an immediate rematch, which is interesting because we've never seen that happen before, unless you were a champion from another division. But if he gets an immediate rematch, I feel, well, there's two trains of thought. Number one, Reyes could learn to pace himself. If he learns to pace himself a little better, doesn't get carried away and come out with a crazy pace in rounds 1, 2, 3, he could easily win that fight. Because when he had the cardio, he was all over Jones. When they were evenly matched at the start of every round, prior to him running out, Reyes was in the driving seat. Now, when he started getting tired, that's when Jones would take over. So if he fixes that problem, I'd see Reyes winning that fight. But here's the thing. Look at the rematches that Jon Jones has had. He had a rematch with Daniel Cormier. Very, very close fight first time. What does he do? Goes and knocks out DC cold. Has a super, super close fight with Alexander Gustafsson. Everybody says Gustafsson should have won that fight. What does he do the second time round? Chokes him out on the floor. Do you know what I mean? So you got to give Jones his credit. He's got a very, very good analytical mind. He's got excellent coaches around him, and he's able to formulate a game plan on a rematch and say, okay, here's what I did wrong the first time. The second time, he always fixes it. So whilst I do believe Reyes, with a little more experience, with a little more maturity on how to monitor his gas tank, could win the fight, Jones always wins the rematches in a big style. So I'm kind of, contradicting my own argument a little bit.
Well, not only in the rematch, I mean, as you've seen, I believe almost every time Jon Jones, he always looks better than his opponent toward the end of the fight. He seems to learn in real time from the fight. Comes out round one. Anderson Silva used to do this a lot too. He'd sort of like start off slow and be computing what his opponent does, and then sort of calculate it, and then come out round 2, 3, 4, 5, and be able to just decimate his opponent and look better and better. This is what happened with Jon Jones in this fight. Jon Jones, I think it was a big part, the athleticism and the cardio. Jon was able to sort of keep up his pace and do what he wanted to do throughout the entire fight. But Jon Jones also just looked better as the fight went on. That first round, it was like, whoa. I was like, wow, Reyes looked really good in that first round. But then you just saw Jon Jones a little more each round. And then by the 5th round, had this been a 10-round fight, Jon Jones would have fucking decapitated Dominick Reyes, right?
But it's not a 10-round fight. It's like saying if you're allowed guns, you would have shot him, Guns aren't allowed either, buddy. But listen, here's the thing. Everybody talks about Jon Jones having a lack of boxing. That's kind of what he struggles with a little bit. He's good at the points. He's good at the kicks. So he's good at the knees, the elbows, the oblique kicks, the unusual strikes, excellent elbows. But the boxing side of things hasn't been too good. His boxing looked good on Saturday night, as I said before. Certainly the defensive stuff was very, very good. But Reyes, over 3 rounds, was the better man. By far more aggressive. He put it on him. But as I've said before, the mental stress of having that many title fights, you got to give it to Jon. You have to respect what this man is capable of doing inside the octagon. And also Reyes today is not the champion of the world, but I feel like he is respected by everybody. His stock has only risen. And I honestly feel that Dominick Reyes will be the future of the light heavyweight division. And my God, what an amazing story. This is a man that was like a fan of MMA, used to play the fucking video game, and now here he is fighting world title fights. He was an IT software guy or something at a high school, I think, Harrington. Is that correct? Something like that?
Nailed it.
No?
Yeah.
All right. Excellent input, Harrington. Excellent input. I thought you could give us a little bit of, a little bit of backstory. Well, Michael, it all started in 1997 when he attended the IT Institute of Texas and passed with scholars. From there, he got his first assignment at something high school. And whilst on lunch breaks, decided to attend a wrestling class. No, you come back with nailed it. Thanks, Harrington. Remind me to come to you more often for points and information.
Well, I didn't think it was relevant. Jon Jones used to kick sand in his face on the beach, and then he started eating egg whites, and now he's a UFC championship level fighter. Sorry about that.
Is that actually true? Because if it is, it's awesome. Which
Absolutely
I know it's not. But, I like it though. See, listen, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story, Harrington. Just throw some bullshit in. People will go out there, they'll Google it, and they'll go, "Oh, maybe Harrington's full of it." Whatever.